I'm in a bit of a dire situation. In short, I found out that my girlfriend, 20 years old, of 2 years, cheated on me, 22 years old. I forgave her and we're still together, but I have doubts that she has cheated again or is still doing it secretly. It all started when I caught her cheating for the first time in August 2023. I noticed that for a few weeks, my girlfriend had been acting strange and more distant than usual. I asked her several times during those weeks if something was wrong, and she always said everything was fine. At that time I was working, but she was at home because she had summer break, and in the fall, she continued her studies at school. I also noticed that several times she would take a shower before going to bed at night, and when I came home from work, she had already showered again. Some might find this normal, but she has always been someone who never showers every day, especially not the night before and then again the next day at noon. One night, I couldn't find peace of mind anymore, so I decided to look at her phone while she was already asleep. I had never done this before, so she didn't suspect that I might do it now. Unlocking her phone, I discovered that the Telegram app was open, where I found out that she was secretly talking to two of her ex-FEWB, friends with benefits, guys. If she had closed the app before going to bed, I wouldn't have found it because she had somehow set it up so that the app wouldn't appear on the home page of her phone, only when specifically searching for it in the search bar. So I wouldn't have even found out if she had just closed the app that night. She flirted with both guys, talked to them as if she were in a relationship with both of them, wished each other good morning and good night, etc. I couldn't read much and still don't know everything because she had set the conversations to disappear after 24 hours. But I found out that one of the guys had come here in the morning when I had gone to work. In the conversation, the guy asked if he could come over with his food to eat at our place before he had to go somewhere. And my girlfriend said, "Yes, you can." I started shaking really bad and sweating profusely, processed it for a while, and then woke her up in the middle of the night by keeping those conversations open in front of her as I shook her awake. In response, I didn't get any explanation. She was completely indifferent and only cared about getting her phone back from me. Nothing else mattered to her. She realized she had been caught and tried to act like she didn't care at all. The next day, she said they didn't do anything, that he just ate here once. And she said this for about a week until I finally got her to admit that they had intimacy. Skipping ahead quickly, there was a lot of manipulation on her part afterward. She was completely cold, indifferent, and arrogant towards me, blamed me, said the cheating hadn't lasted long, and that she had only met up with that one guy and only had intimacy once, even though she had been showering daily for a couple of weeks. Interesting. In the meantime, I also found out that before all this, she had been emailing with her ex-boyfriend for a few days in early June. There was no flirting, but it's still cheating when you do it behind my back via email. And delete the emails, I found them in the trash folder. After all this came out, she promised to stop such behavior. She didn't. She got caught about 5 more times in August, still communicating with them. Each time she promised not to do it anymore because she didn't want to lose me. But then she got caught again. I was pretty deep in a mental hole at the time, so I was stupid and forgave everything every time. Then finally it all ended, or at least I'm pretty sure it ended. But now, almost a year later, I still see that I haven't gotten over it, and I don't trust her. And I have suspicions that she has cheated again. There's no direct evidence, and there's not much to see on her part that she has done it. But since she got caught cheating so many times before, she might be much more careful about deleting, hiding all chats, etc. But my gut feeling tells me that everything is not right. Plus, for the past 4 nights, I've dreamed that she's cheating on me. I know I'm stupid for not ending this when I found out and letting myself be treated like this. But somehow I still really love this person and don't want to let go of her at all. Because I always hope that maybe things will get better, even though deep down, I know I will never fully trust this person again. Can anyone give me some advice? Update. Thanks for the positive and sympathetic feedback, guys. I will take some time to digest all the advice you gave me and think about the safest way to end this relationship. I know it's going to be a really tough one for me, and I'm going to get hurt a lot. But during this time, I've realized that I have to respect myself more, and I deserve better. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Without trust, you cannot have a relationship. You cannot and should not trust her. It would be ignorant and willfully naive of you to even attempt it, and I doubt you could even accomplish it if you tried. Love is not enough. Stop hurting yourself and cause more pain and damage for yourself by staying as this relationship suffers a slow death. Rip the Band-Aid off so you can start to heal. Comment 2. She's toxic as frick and disrespectful. She will do it again for sure. She didn't care before, and won't care much more now. You won't ever be able to trust her and feel good again in this relationship. Cut your losses and take care of yourself. Distance yourself from this person. Talk to your friend's family and tell them what's happening, then leave her. Now, for the update. Thanks for sticking around for more of my saga. So, here's what went down in the last 2 weeks. I thought things were looking up, but boy, was I wrong. My girlfriend, she's been acting all sweet and apologetic, right? Well, turns out she's been playing me for a fool again. I found out she's been secretly meeting up with some guy from her class. How did I find out? I overheard her talking on the phone, whispering and giggling like she used to. It hit me like a ton of bricks. I confronted her, and she tried to deny it at first. But when I told her I heard everything, she just broke down and admitted it. Said it was just a study session that got a little too friendly. Can you believe that? After everything, she's still lying to my face. I was so mad I almost walked out right then and there, but I didn't. I don't know why. Maybe I'm scared of being alone, or maybe I'm just too used to her walking all over me. Either way, I stayed. But then, things took a turn for the worse. Her ex, the one she cheated on me with before, he shows up out of the blue. Says he's just checking in on her, but I know better. They've been texting behind my back. I saw the messages when she left her phone out. They were planning to meet up, talking about old times, and who knows what else. I lost it. I told her it was over, that I couldn't do this anymore. She begged me to stay, said she'd change, but I've heard that song and dance before. So I packed my bags and left. It was the hardest thing I've ever done, but I had to do it for my own sanity. Now I'm crashing at my buddy's place, trying to piece my life back together. It's tough, but I'm starting to feel a little bit of relief, like a weight's been lifted off my shoulders. I'm still angry and hurt, but at least I'm not being played for a fool anymore. And to top it all off, I got a message from one of her friends. Turns out my ex has been telling everyone that I was the one who cheated, that I was the bad guy. Can you believe the nerve? But her friend didn't buy it and reached out to tell me the truth. It's a small comfort, but at least someone sees her for who she really is. So that's where I'm at. It's been very eventful, but I'm starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm just trying to move on and find some peace. Thanks for reading, it means a lot. My family excluded me from funerals and Christmas gatherings. But when I found out Mom was cheating with her best friend's husband, I made sure she lost everything and learned the true meaning of family. I am making an assumption, but I don't know what else to assume. So this year there have been 2 deaths. One was the father of my mom's lifelong best friend. I grew up going to his house every weekend, and even though it's her friend, I do consider myself close to them, close enough to attend a funeral. The second was the father of another lifelong friend, but this friend is my uncle by marriage now. So it was technically one of my family members, although distant. Again, I spent every family holiday seeing this man in attendance. When I found out he passed away, I was shocked and saddened, and expressed to my mother how I wanted to be there for the funeral and to let me know when it would be, since she would find out sooner than me. Same thing for the previous deceased father. She never said anything to me, and I even made it a point to ask about it multiple times. I found out after the fact from my grandmother both times, the first funeral. I found out the day of, and this last one she mentioned it while talking about some weekend they were having a hard time planning. This last Thanksgiving, I asked my grandma what we were doing for the holiday, and she said that she would be out of town, but said my mom, stepdad, and little sister were going to drive to visit my uncle and his kids for the holiday. She said I should go. My mom never mentioned anything to me about it. I felt especially hurt over that due to our previous year's Christmas, which I was not invited to. That Christmas, the same uncle came to California with all his kids in tow. My grandmother, my mom, stepdad, little sister, they all went out to the beach with them and spent Christmas Eve together, which is the day my family has always celebrated on. They said it was an accident and that they didn't intentionally leave me out, but we always play this game on Christmas where you buy a generic cheap gift and you all play this game, and the gifts get all mixed around. They played this game that Christmas, which tells me they obviously had some forethought into the day, but didn't think to invite me. I was the only family member left out because my grandfather and great uncle had both passed away that year. The other thing I've noticed, which is petty, is that my mom is constantly posting pictures of my little sister. And only on my birthday does she post any of me. But the majority are from when I was a child. Her home is literally full of family photos, like every wall is full, literally. I was watering her plants while they were on vacation recently, and I was looking at all the photos and noticed that there were almost none that had me in them. I want to approach this with my mom, but I don't want to be written off for being dramatic or overly sensitive. I want to ask in a way that doesn't seem whiny, but seems like I'm an adult with a concern who wants a straightforward answer. How should I go about this? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Hey Mom, I noticed I wasn't told about XYZ. What's that about? This phrasing is non-accusatory. You can follow up with, I didn't feel good not being told. Also non-accusatory and places no blame. I hope you get the answers you're looking for. Now for the update, thanks for sticking around. Well, things went from bad to worse. Remember how I was left out of the funerals and Thanksgiving? Turns out, my mom had been planning a surprise birthday party for my little sister. And guess who wasn't on the guest list? Yep, me. I found out when I overheard her talking to my aunt about how it was going to be a small and intimate gathering. Small and intimate, but apparently big enough to include cousins I barely talked to. I was fuming, but I kept it to myself. I thought, maybe I'll confront her after the party. But then, the day before the event, my mom's best friend, the one whose dad's funeral I missed, called me. She was in tears. She had just found out that my mom had been having an affair with her husband for years. The same husband who is now a widower because of her dad's death. The betrayal hit me like a ton of bricks. Not only had my mom been lying to me, but she was also destroying her best friend's family. The party was canceled, obviously. My mom's friend was devastated, and my mom. She was too busy dealing with the fallout to even notice my absence. The affair blew up in her face. My stepdad moved out, and my little sister was too ashamed to even look at our mom. And then, as if things couldn't get any more chaotic, my uncle, the one who married into the family, got involved. He had lent a significant amount of money to my mom, which she used to lavish her lover with gifts. My uncle was furious, not just about the money, but because he felt like he had been supporting her deceit. He demanded the money back, threatening legal action, which would ruin my mom financially. In the midst of all this, I had to take a step back. I was angry, sure, but I also felt sorry for my mom. She had lost everything because of her lies. My sister and I ended up moving in with my grandma for a while, just to get away from the drama. I never did confront my mom about the photos or the exclusion. It seemed petty in the grand scheme of things, but I learned a lot about family and trust. I realized that sometimes people show you who they are through their actions, and you just have to pay attention. Thanks for reading. My fiancé thinks he can control my life and finances, but I sell his precious gaming console to fund our daughter's daycare and show him who's boss. I, 26 years old female, have been with my fiancé, 28 years old male, since October 2017. We attended the same high school and reconnected when we were 19 and 21 years old. We have 2 large dogs and a 12-week-old baby. I've been thinking that having no partner would be better than an unsupportive one. The home we live in was purchased by my grandmother, and I have income from rentals. I work in finance and make £135,000 before dividends and bonuses in one job. I have 3 jobs. This was not always the case. While in college, I worked part-time in retail, and my partner had a full-time job, 29,000 pounds at the time. And we still contributed 50/50ths to everything. He is now self-employed. I am his free assistant financial advisor, accountant while being on maternity leave from my other jobs. I pay absolutely everything, including his personal finance for a ridiculous German car. His current income of 40,000 pounds is entirely fun money for him, as well as having access to my cards. While I'm aware there's a significant gap between us now, the roles were previously reversed and I was still expected to pay half regardless. He is only interested in our daughter when she is smiling and settled. As soon as she cries, needs to be fed, needs her diaper changed, he is yelling for me. He doesn't know what's wrong with her. His back hurts too much to feed her. I'm much better at changing her diapers. He'll get the next one, etc. With our dogs, I feed them, walk them 80% of the time, schedule vet appointments. And while he loves them to bits, the main caretaking falls on me. I'm now at the stage where I feel like I'd just be better off on my own. He is his own priority, and at this point, he's just an extra person for me to cook, clean up after, and wash his clothes. He's incapable of even the simple tasks of putting things in a laundry basket or using a bin for his rubbish. His one and only chore is taking the garbage bags to the bin. He hasn't since December. Honestly, if any one of my friends told me they were in a relationship like this, I'd ask what on earth they were thinking. I'm not even thinking about being in another relationship, but he's read a few Reddit posts to me or told me stories from friends about how they wouldn't like to date single mothers. I'm assuming it's to manipulate me into thinking I've lucked out by having him, but I don't even care if I never date again. We recently lost our second set of twins, 3 losses, 4 babies prior to our daughter being born. He got me red wine using my card afterwards and said, we could try again, jokingly. I was also accepted to St. Andrews University to do my MBA this year. He doesn't want me to go as it's too far of a commute for him daily. If I don't go now while she's young, when will I? It's an incredible opportunity and one I've worked hard for. I hope I've included enough information in this. I feel like I just need someone to tell me how foolish I'm being, so I can accept it. He doesn't like me talking to friends or family about our relationship, so I'm pretty alone in this. I'm no contact with my own family for various issues, but most stemmed from him. I miss my brother, but he would flip if I spoke to him or introduced our daughter. God, writing this has exhausted me and possibly woken me up on my own. Thank you if you read this. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. He's your dead weight. He offers you nothing. And by the sounds of it, he did everything in his power to baby trap you. So glad you're talking to your brother. You're going to need a lot of support, just in case the worst case scenario, him getting physical with you, happens. He sounds incredibly selfish and controlling, alienating you from your friends and family, using your money for his own interests, and not pulling his weight to help make your life easier. And you're going to be so much lighter and happier when he's no longer under your roof. Comment 2. Absolutely don't give up St. Andrews for him. You sound very accomplished and put together. It really does seem like you'd do better without him. Even with the disadvantage of being a single mother, I'm certain there are plenty of guys out there who would gladly be a much better partner to you than he is. Please prioritize yourself and your daughter and get him out. Best of luck. Now, for the update, thanks for sticking around. A lot has gone down since I last wrote. So, the other day, I caught him red-handed using my credit card to buy a new gaming console. When I confronted him, he shrugged it off, saying he deserved it for all the hard work he's been doing. Hard work? Please. The man hasn't even taken out the trash since last year. I was fuming, but before I could even process that, my phone rang. It was the hospital. Our daughter had a minor accident at the daycare. She's fine now, but guess who had to rush there alone while Mr. My Back Hurts stayed home? After the hospital visit, I thought things couldn't get worse. I was wrong. I came home to find him throwing a tantrum because the Wi-Fi was down. Meanwhile, I'm trying to soothe our daughter, who's still shaken up. And the dogs? They were running rough because, of course, he hadn't walked them. I felt like I was in some twisted reality show where the prize was a lifetime of misery. The next day, I had enough. I told him I was going to St. Andrews for my MBA, with or without his support. He laughed, saying I wouldn't last a week without him. That's when I snapped. I packed a bag for me and the baby, called a friend, and left. He didn't even follow me to the door, just sat there glued to his precious game. Staying with my friend gave me some clarity. I realized I'd been carrying the weight of our relationship on my shoulders alone. It was time to let go. I called a lawyer to discuss custody and financial arrangements. I wasn't going to let him walk all over me anymore. But karma has a funny way of showing up. The next morning, he showed up at my friend's doorstep, begging for forgiveness. He'd been fired from his latest project. His client found out he'd been cutting corners. Suddenly, he had no income, no fun money, and the reality of his situation hit him hard. He promised to change, to be better, but I could see the desperation in his eyes. It wasn't about us. It was about him, as always. I told him I needed time to think, but my mind was already made up. I went back to our house to collect some things, and that's when I saw it. The gaming console, still in its box, untouched. In a moment of clarity, I listed it online and sold it within hours. The money went straight to the daycare's emergency fund. He's been calling, texting, trying to worm his way back in, but I'm done. I've started my MBA program, and it's tough but fulfilling. Our daughter is thriving, and I've reconnected with my brother. He's been a rock, supporting me through this mess. As for the ex-fiancé, he's had to downgrade that German car and is now living with a friend. Last I heard, he's looking for a job, any job. I'm not saying it's been easy. There are days when I feel overwhelmed, but then I look at my daughter, and I know I've made the right decision. I'm building a future for us, a stable, loving home, something he could never provide. Thanks for reading. It's been a tense ride, but I'm finally in the driver's seat. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.